really you.
I have
no, I told you last week exactly.
If only this was on videotape.
No, it is on videotape from last week. I told you to prepare for this week. There's this thing I remember from one of the Car Talk episodes where they said, it was like a 13 or 14-year-old kid that called. And then their idea was that what you need to do in order to make sure that you don't get any errands or any chores is to really mess it up entirely.
Oh, well, then
and so like,
welcome to my world, yeah.
And so like when you wanted to go wash the car, like do it with sandpaper. And then say, I tried my hardest, and then just continually mess it up, and then eventually like your parents are like, oh, this guy's incompetent. I can't give him anything.
There's a friend of mine who, I think I explained to him that's how his wife is doing the laundry. He was doing the laundry, and he was carefully folding his shirts and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then he started to come in every day, and his shirts would be weird and then creased. Yeah. And he said, we switch chores. My wife does the laundry, and she doesn't know how to fold. And I just right away said, does she really not know how to fold, or does she want you to do the laundry? And he said, maybe.
So I think that's what it is. That I asked you 2 weeks in a row, like on camera.
I don't watch the show. I actually did watch the show, and I don't remember.
Well, if you did watch the show, then you would notice that I had 2 errors, and I'm going to do a errata right now.
No, it's all right. I believe you. 2 errors?
And so last week we talked about the French island that was off the coast, and we said it was off the coast of Nova Scotia.
Yes.
It's not. It's off the coast of Newfoundland. And we said that it was called...
Martinique.
Martinique, but that is not. Oh. Martinique is off the Bahamas. It's another French.
So we weren't even in the right country.
This one's called Saint-Pierre and Miquelon.
Oh.
And that's the one that is not off of Nova Scotia. It is off of Newfoundland.
So so the only thing we had wrong. You've now mentioned 4 mistakes, but in fact we only had 1 mistake, and that's that off of Newfoundland is not Martinique.
Right.
Because the other 2 things were just completely not in the right country.
Another mistake was that I said that...
Were we getting viewer mail with corrections?
No, I want to correct what I screwed up last week.
All right. What was it? I have no such aspirations.
No, I remember these things.
All right. What else?
That I said that the Falkland Islands were the size of a Midwest city. Yeah. But they aren't. They're much bigger than I knew. They're the size of about the state of Connecticut.
Oh, all right. And
so that was also a mistake that I had made. Everything else I said was 100% accurate. Yeah, do not question it at all. But those are the big sort of 2 factual things where I was like, I'm not so sure about this. And so,
the Falkland Islands is as big as Connecticut. There's still only sheep on it, though.
Yeah,
that didn't make it any more populated.
Well, this is like one of those things where they try to like do an analogy of saying like X is as big as Y, where you have no idea the size of Y. Like I've never been to Connecticut, I don't know how big it is. I know it's one of the smaller states.
It's not accurate on the map.
But they're like, it's like 107, Empire State's buildings on top of each other, and I'm like. Well, wait a second.
Been there either.
My notion of how tall it is pretty weak. But like visualizing 107 of them on top of each other, I cannot do.
There's a friend of mine.
17 football fields. Like,
there's a friend of mine that looked up the number 9 in the dictionary, and it said 9, and it said 5 plus 4. And he said, if I don't know what 9 is, 5 plus 4 is definitely out of the question.
It's like when you read those things, and then, the definition of like, an Xer is one who X's. Yeah. And then you're like, I could figure that one out. Like, what is Xing?
I had a slang dictionary. When dictionaries existed, I had a slang dictionary. And it wasn't any help at all because everything was absolutely as described. So you would look up like shit face, and it would have, a person who has feces on his cheeks. It wasn't. There was no other slang definition. It was the absolute, straight-on definition of the words.
Who published this?
I think it was Simon and Schuster. I have no idea, but not the Simon and Schuster. It was I don't know. I bet I still have it.
It sounds like it was something that was published by
That magazine.
Yeah, exactly. or what is that?
Not the slang, not necessarily a slang dictionary.
Right.
National Lampoon.
National Lampoon is what I was thinking of. That's exactly what he'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, like motherfucker, one that copulates with his mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that we can do that. It'd be called Ambrose Bierce's his book's called The Devil's Dictionary. But you can have like Ambrose Bierce's The Denotative Dictionary, the Declarative Dictionary. Yeah.
I should get dictionaries. That was a thing I miss now. There was a couple of years ago. Well, I think I still have one. There was a couple of years ago, and it was in Glendale. It was pretty close. It was here, where a group of parents.
You said Glendale's close?
I know you've never been that far away from home, but I
Right.
believe it's 10 miles away.
Okay.
But what I mean is, it's not one of the flyover states.
I have to tell you something that in the past 5 years, I've gone to Europe more than I've gone to Glendale.
Yeah,
Absolutely true.
I think I've been to.
I've certainly been to Mexico more.
I think I've been to Glendale once, and it was pre-Amazon. When you would go to brick and mortar stores, and the biggest mall in the area at the time was the Glendale Galleria.
There's Glendale, Glendora,
yeah,
Grenada.
Glendora I've never been to.
Granada.
You say Granada, I say Grenada. So I went out, I drove, it took me 3.5 hours, I had to stop for lunch, and I went the 10 miles to Glendale to go to the Glendale Galleria. And about halfway through, I just went, this is exhausting, and I got back in the car and came home. And it was just the same stores as any place else, just more of them. There were like 2 gaps. Have you been to the Glendale? I don't know if it's still open.
I did go to the Glendale Gallery. Yeah. About a year or 2 ago, I was trying to charge an electric car, and I couldn't find any parking.
And the closest you could find was the Glendale Gallery?
No, I was already around Glendale. I think I was like in Eagle Rock.
Yeah.
And that's where I could go. But I wasn't able to find the charger there, so I didn't park there. But
you use up your electricity just driving.
But what I
around
did find, and I don't know if this is true, but the one sort of thing that I have in my mind, and I don't know how accurate this is that is there a lot of it is because I know Glendale is full of Armenians and Persians.
That's what I've heard.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I remember just driving through the parking lot or the parking structure, and then all people would be blasting music out of their car, but it's all in Farsi, and it's like a non-English hip hop. And that's what I heard again and again. And then I saw all these people getting out of their cars with like large change and rings and so, the kind of thing like if you were to do a racist depiction of the Middle East. And I was like, what the this can't be real. What is this? Is it did I come here on culture night?
I do remember one more thing about Glendale. There was a bail bondsman on every block.
Oh, was there a court nearby?
I don't know.
That's usually what happens.
Yeah, but I don't know. It seemed they were. It seemed the heart of the bail bondsman industry in California. There were 50.
There's a movement to get rid of bails.
Yes. Yeah,
I think that's a great
cash
idea.
bail. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful idea. Yeah.
People should either be in jail or not. So,
no, I think that bail should be fine, but instead what you do is you do it in blood. And so you keep a dog or something like that, or a child, right?
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We'll let you have, but your 6-year-old stays here in this
exactly
pen.
To make sure you show up for court.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like kidnapping. But I'm all for it, though. I'm not against it. I'm just pointing it out.
I mean, see, the problem with bails is that not everybody has $25,000.
Or $2,500 or
right.
$250.
But most people have a dog.
Yeah, right. That's right. People have a dog. They have a child.
A mother.
I don't have
$250,
somewhere. But I have Buffy.
Yeah, like you have it a grandma.
Yeah, that's right. Most people have grandparents. I don't know what the problem is. So I was in, where are we going with this Glendale thing?
I have no idea.
No, there was a specific, Glendale. So at the Glendale School District.
Glen or Glendale?
Glendale. Glen or Glendale. That was a movie.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
These parents who should be, by the way, put away and not let out with bail, were complaining to the school district that the dictionary had dirty words in it, and kids were looking it up. I know. It seems ridiculous. And they wanted the dictionary removed from the school library. Mm-hmm. They were outraged. And they interviewed these lunatic people that should be in cages or Iran.
Can you believe it? It has a definition of atheist in here. You know, like they find the most benign words offensive.
One dad from the other side who said everything perfectly, and he said, "Hey, if my kid is going into a library and looking in a book, let him have his laugh." So I thought that was perfect.
So did they remove the dictionaries, or did they just
did
white
not.
out?
They did not. They should remove those people they should just shoot the people and leave the bodies there as a warning to the next person that wants to take dictionaries out of the library. But maybe I'm being a little...
No, I think that these types of things would be great.
Now we're talking death penalty.
Well, yeah. I mean, like so in Santa Monica, they have these new bike lanes set up, wherein usually it's supposed to be like a car and then bike, and then they swap the two. So you give the bike the protected lane. Yeah. And then there's all these photographs of people like pulling in through and then parking right there
in the bike lane.
Right?
Are there any also people opening their car door just as the?
But what I think that should be is that they should call it like the vehicular damage lane. Like, would I be really sort of to blame if I happen to have, let's say, a bag of hammers on my bike and I just happen to be gliding by and then just sort of like knock off the side of the
Any car parked in this space is fair game.
I think that's
for
fine.
Whatever.
And then people like, my tires are slashed. Like, yeah, you parked in a vehicle damage spot. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
that's what the lane should be called. Vehicle to be damaged.
Right, and then it should have a little picture right there of like broken windows and slashed tires and stuff like that. Like, that's your problem.
Only.
and then they should also have that thing on the public electric car chargers because people park in front of them that don't have electric cars, right? And then if you park your car here, don't be surprised if like your hood gets smashed in, and they can do that. I think that should be. I'm okay with this type of stuff.
I'm okay with that. And it's not quite vigilante justice because you're warning. If you park here, people are allowed to smash your windows.
Right. And
it could be in 3-4 languages.
With all of these other examples, it's like you could park 6 feet away.
Polices itself. Yeah. Well, I told you, people have blocked my driveway.
People like me will have a really fun Saturday.
Yeah. People have blocked my driveway. Maybe you were here once for that. And if you haven't been to my house, there's no parking on this side of the street. You can only park on the other side of the street.
Right.
So there are 99.999% of the time, no one parked at all, which means the person parking in front of my driveway, blocking my driveway, could have moved up 6 feet, still be illegally parked, but wouldn't have been towed. So I don't know what that was. So if you go ahead and park illegally, I'm not policing it, but you block someone's driveway, you have the entire street to park, and you can't figure out this is a driveway. So my only analysis of that was, I already had a scenario for what happened. That was an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend that took their ex-girlfriend or boyfriend's car and put it where they knew it was going to be towed. Let me go take it someplace and have it towed.
Let me park in front of that Jewish guy's house. He's an asshole.
Well, park in front of the Jewish guy's house so you could park anywhere within 13 miles. But in this neighborhood. Park in front of me.
In fact, when I walk in here, I move the non-Jewish population from 0 to
1. People call the police when you get here.
Excuse me.
Officer, there's Goyim in the neighborhood.
I saw him and his hands weren't like this.
He wasn't counting money. What they really want to call it, there hasn't been, there also isn't...
Coins weren't just rolling behind him as he walked in the door.
It says, on the corner, it says, next Gentile, 16 miles. There's a picture, actually, of a guy with blonde hair and a martini. And like an arrow that says 16 MI. Yeah. And the funny thing is, 16 miles from here is your parents' house, and it's a picture of your dad. Yeah.
Right. That's when you get to Calabasas.
The next child is probably only 8 miles. miles before there's a child. There aren't a lot of children in this neighborhood.
No, sometimes when we're at the grocery store, I occasionally see a child, and
it's frightening.
Well, it shocks me at first, but I don't know why I'm so thrown off by it until 30 seconds in, and I'm like, oh, that's right.
Supermarkets usually have that.
I'm not supposed. Yeah.
This is the only supermarket.
It's almost
in
like
the
if
country
I was
like that. Yeah.
So across the way from me is, and that's not true. I can give you some other ones. Is a bar.
Yeah.
Where I live.
Yeah.
And it's a sports bar, but it has a nice sort of respectable beer selection and whatever. And then there's an Irish pub up the street. And then you go in there, and then they have like imported beers.
Where you live now?
Yeah, where I live, right? And it closes at a respectable time, and people go there. And there's nothing, it's just a local bar. If I walked by and I saw a fight outside of it, I would think, oh, just a bar fight. Wait a second, that's not supposed to happen here. That only happens in Hollywood.
Yeah. The supermarket. I was maybe I was visiting my sister or something like that, and I was in a supermarket, which this is a big supermarket in this neighborhood, 5 blocks from here or whatever it is, but hers was on the size of a football field or something, and there were a lot of women with children and kids screaming, and I thought, how do you shop like that? How do you shop like that? And then I remembered, oh, that's every single other supermarket in the country except this one, except Pavilions here.
In fact, the other ones, they'll have the large shopping carts because they can put a child in the front.
One standing up and one in the little seat. Right. It's funny that...
And they rotated those out of here. And there's no way that you can put a kid inside
No,
of one
but
of
they still go through the motions. There's still a little seat, but it's not... You can't really put a kid in it. It's not... Those things still have the seat, those carts. But they're not really big enough. Maybe you could put a toddler, but then the legs don't fit through. It's just like for show. It's just like saying, it's like the seat in the supermarket is now, in a supermarket car is now like saying, dial the phone. No one's actually got one of those.
Maybe you can like take one of those, one of the UCLA kids that came in from Vietnam, that are here.
But they have to be big carts because sometimes you see the women, there's one in the seat and then there's two standing in the cart reaching for the Fruit Loops or whatever.
Yeah.
That's also why they put that at kid level. All the cartoon cereals are kid eye level. That was
just for depressed people that always look at their feet.
Yeah, right. No, all the stuff that parents don't want to buy is right at this level. Maybe not at Pavilions, but at your average Ralph's.
The grocery stores, you could just sort of categorize the aisles with using different words. Yeah. Like, this is the sugar aisle. This is also the sugar aisle. This is the liquid sugar aisle.
Ralph's.
This is the carbohydrate aisle.
The Rock and Roll Ralph's on Sunset.
Yeah, classic.
Which is it? Do you think it's bigger than this Pavilions? Yeah, I don't know. But when they redid it, they moved it so when you walk in the store, you're walking into the liquor aisle. So they used to have the liquor aisle in the back, so kind of hidden off the side.
Right.
But the first thing you do, and it's almost like a liquor store now. It's the Rock and Roll House, and then they also sell some other food like cheeses and meat or on the sides. But it's half liquor store, and that's the first thing you see. Like when you walk into a Vegas casino and there's already one-armed bandits.
So it's like the lead architect. Was taking a lunch break and went to the Circus of Books.
Well, they know what they're selling. They know.
But Circus of Books is the opposite.
Yeah, right. Right, that's right. They have the porno hidden in the back.
Right.
Yeah.
You go in and you see Antonio Gramsci and
right. Time Magazine also, Architectural Digest.
It'd be so
and
funny.
You got to go through another door to get to the. And it is a porno store. That's what's funny.
You know what would be so funny is that you go and they're all collecting desks. That you go in there and then you're like, oh, I was looking at this Hannah Arendt book everywhere actually, and then they're like, we sell books here. Yes, this is what I want. And it's like respectable philosophy books.
The front is a couple of books, and there's even some paperbacks, and you can get like a Perry Mason novel. And there's Time and Newsweek and Architectural Digest, and then you push through that swinging door, and there's the porn. But it's a porn store. That's all they're not making any money in the front. And I guess Ralph's figured, we're not making money with oatmeal and tomato soup. We're making money with alcohol.
Anti-intellectualism in the American life. I've been wanting to read this book.
Yeah.
And everybody's just doing this in the back. Like I wonder if this is true.
That's went out of business, and it's open as it's called like Chi LaRue's Circus of Books now. Yes, he or she bought it.
I don't know.
I want to get my pronoun correct.
I don't know.
So I don't know what Chi calls themselves.
Well, I mean, that's the hard thing is that like if somebody's trans, I know exactly what to do. Is to do how they present themselves.
Right.
But if somebody does it for theatrics,
right? If
then
someone
I don't
is
know.
right, what's
a performer?
What's her name? The Duchess, who's the British one?
Or heck,
Dame Judith Evans. Yeah.
RuPaul. I don't know what I don't know what pronouns
I don't know
use.
what the answer is. Yeah. But so that's true.
Because I assume that like when RuPaul goes home, it's a guy.
Yeah.
Right. I assume that's how he lives, or how the person lives their life. Right.
But so at Chi, they have bought up the out of business Circus of Books, the building, and kept the name Circus of Books, but now I believe it's called Chi LaRue Circus of Books. I haven't been inside since they took over, but I assume it's the same thing. A couple of art books in front and porno, paying the rent.
That's so strange. I would assume that. I mean, regular video stores are all out of business.
Yeah, but because no one's buying porn anymore. We can get it for free online.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I'm going to bring it out of that subgenre, and I'm going to say that there is no place if I wanted to go off and buy a DVD, like even if I went into Best Buy, who used to have a large DVD section, or maybe Walmart still does.
Yeah. Barnes and Noble still does.
But remember, those stores used to have a very large CD section and DVDs, and now maybe if a rack or two, and that's about it.
Right, and they have as much vinyl because it's retro as they have DVDs now.
And so, just buying regular sort of physical media is hard enough. Is it because maybe there's an availability issue when it comes to
porn?
Well, I'm not saying porn as a genre, but I'm saying
somebody that you think she has some exclusives?
No, not that. But for instance, if I wanted to go off and see, I don't know, Brewster's Millions, right? Yeah. I could easily find it, no problem, right?
Okay.
But if I wanted to go find, I don't know what a big porno thing is, but something equivalent to that from 1988. Yeah. I probably can't find that online that easily.
Oh, that's right. But they may still exist on VHS even.
Right.
Yeah, it might still exist.
Because I don't think there is what is that thing a Netflix?
Yeah, I don't think there. Well, that would be great if there was a Netflix. But are there even classic porn films other than Beyond the Green Door or I Am Curious Yellow? Are there classic flicks where I can't get?
Look, I'm not a large consumer of the material, so I don't know. I would assume that
there might be classic porn stars.
Well, here's my idea is that there is what's called a fanboyism of everything out there. You know what I mean? There's car fans, there's people that are, shoe fans. So there's definitely shoe fans.
Yeah, well,
big.
There might be porn ones. Aficionados that
and I bet you there are and then they'll have I don't know, I'm just going to make up somebody's name. I don't know, let's say Big Dick Reggie or whatever, make it up. And then he goes to a signing somewhere, and then one of his fans drives across town.
Or who's the guy in jail? Ron Jeremy.
Well, Ron Jeremy is somebody that everybody knows.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking is that there are those movies where they follow some kind of band or something like that, and then they'll talk about how there's a few fans of. I don't know, you'll come up with let's say, just some band that nobody remembers anymore.
Yeah, and there's still Casey and the Sunshine Band. They're following them around the country.
Right.
Yeah, one hit wonders.
and then there's some people that just follow them, right?
Yeah.
And there might be like that for some of these adult film stars. They'd have to. I mean, we worked with them on that one show, but like a couple years ago. But I never even thought about saying
names.
like
There was one woman that had been in the business for
for decades. So
30 years,
she would have been able to answer that question.
Yeah, but
right?
now she's considered a sex educator because she's pro-sex. But you're right; she probably would be able to say, yes, this is considered a classic, and there are people. Well, I know that there are people that follow.
It's the other question I'm curious about, like, is that like if somebody goes to like sign things?
Yeah, there are apparently in the porn world, and we heard this from Jack, who booked all the actresses in that virtual documentary. That there are fans that they have their star and they consider that woman almost their girlfriend, even if they're not stalkers, or their boyfriend, and they have seen every work and that's who they follow. They're not even interested in the other ones. They like this.
Well,
this woman.
I guess that's the premise of OnlyFans, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
well, but that's really monetizing and not. That's
of course. But that's where they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would also wonder if there's a stark difference there because unlike with sort of non-taboo movies, is that there are a big sort of studio consolidations, right?
Yeah.
And there's not many sort of boutique studios anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah.
But I would presume, and I believe this is the case, is that there's still hundreds and hundreds of adult film studios. And, so I'm coming at it through...
I don't know.
I'm coming at it through the music label world. And so, like, if you go on Bandcamp, is that you can find these sort of boutique sort of labels that will produce music that sounds similar to each other by a bunch of different artists. And maybe it's just all ambient music or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And then you can find out about new things that way. And it's very sort of reasonable to say that you follow labels instead of artists. And so I'm wondering, I would presume that for adult films, it's not like if I was called, Boogie Productions or whatever, that I don't film everything, that I have a focus.
You probably that's probably true.
And that people would maybe follow the label or the production house.
That's probably true. That's probably, especially since there's genres. I'm sure there's ones that specialize in, well, obviously gay and straight, but also...
Well, it gets crazier than like...
There's ones that are more leather.
Or people that are overweight.
Yeah. Well, there's every kind of porn. Didn't we look that up once?
Feet?
That there was every... You could put something and porn next to it, and there's something...
Everything.
Macaroni and cheese porn, you can find a movie.
Oh, yeah. All of those things.
Yeah, so I wonder if there are... I bet there is a studio that specializes in food porn.
Yeah, I'm sure. I was my old joke about those is that I always wonder about like how spam filters work.
Yeah.
Because normally if I got some email that talked about like naked models and stuff like that, like the spam filter would just say like done, right? But then these people, that's their business, right?
Yeah, I wonder if they have to pretend to be something else.
right. I've been trying to contact you about this. The model is ready, but it gets. Yeah. I don't hear back from you. What's wrong? Yeah. Or somebody who's like truly involved in like the Bank of Nigeria, like the official Bank of Nigeria. Like hi,
that'd be great.
Like I am Dr. Wambi from the real Bank of Nigeria. I've been trying to contact the WTO for a while.
Yes, about your inheritance.
Yeah.
And all we're looking for is the taxes. What if you're really doing that? Do you think there's a Bank of Nigeria? Do you think they have a banking system at all?
Of course they do.
Who would cash that check?
But Lagos is like a 20 million person city. It's a very large industrial city of Africa.
Nobody trusts any finance or banking. You had a theory on that spam many years ago. You had a theory why even in 2021 there's misspellings and it's
a filter.
Pidgin English and why so that they filter out anyone that's not an imbecile.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, you stand by that. Sounds a little sophisticated, but I bet it works.
Oh no! I mean, the filtering during onboarding is a very clever and a very effective thing
Let's
to do.
get rid of anyone that knows this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Get right to the heart of people that will send us a Walmart gift card in order for us to release.
I mean, people do filtering during
$5
onboarding a lot
million,
of times.
yeah.
I mean, that's what hazing's all about, right?
I had an actual legitimate email from my mortgage company with a misspelling in the subject, and so I immediately assumed it's a mortgage company, but it's a bank. Mm-hmm. I immediately assumed it was fake. Mm-hmm. I'm still not convinced. Except then rather than clicking on the link, I went to the site and it was
you put my
correct.
information in.
Yeah, I put in your social security number and no, I went to the site and I checked the messages and the message was real, but there was a misprint, a misspelling, a typo in the subject from this international bank.
Well, maybe it's the British spelling.
No, it was the stupid spelling. It was a
the
your
Canadian
problem. It was a your problem.
I heard a very offensive joke today.
Oh, please.
I said, what was it? Canada is Alaska's Mexico. And like that just hits so many different points, but it actually is meaningless.
Alaska's Canada's Mexico.
Alaska's Canada's Mexico. No, but it doesn't work because it's south. You know, you have to. What's on the map?
It goes pretty far up. You can see Russia from there.
Oh, well, no, you can. Did you know that there's an island off the coast of Alaska?
Martinique.
No, yeah, Martinique. No, it's called. I'm not going to get it right, but there's an archipelago, and that's the distinction between the Russians and Alaskans, and the distance is on the order of like a mile or two between them. And so, you could actually go from Alaska to Russia very easily. So that's, and then also those islands off of Alaska were the only successful North American invasion of World War II.
Oh, the ones that come down.
The Japanese invaded and overtook some of those islands.
Yeah, but we didn't care.
Well, some of them weren't inhabited.
Yeah. Oh.
But the idea was that they were going to use that as a springboard in order to do a North America attack.
Oh.
Right? And so there's a bunch of battles between them. And the Japanese people ended up leaving some of their hardware on there, which is completely rusted.
Oh.
Right? And we haven't and I think that we should just return them.
Yeah.
And just say, here's your rusted
dump
cannons.
it in their front lawn.
Like, here, just take this stuff.
Here you go,
like,
Tito.
stop polluting on our beautiful, islands up here. What's
pristine ice.
Yeah, what is that?
In the north.
No, there are beautiful places. If you ever go up to Alaska, you can.
I've not been to Alaska. Have you been to Alaska?
No. Supposedly, Alaska has basically all of Alaska and Florida are the two two extremes. And it's where all the crazies are.
Yeah. There's certainly Florida.
A
lot of the people in Alaska just want to be left alone. They just don't want. Just leave me alone.
Or everybody
Florida,
wants.
they're really
everybody
crazy.
wants them to be.
Yeah.
Nobody wants.
Yeah.
No, Alaska people are nuts.
They call Anchorage because it's gotten so cityfied. In Alaska, they refer to it as Los Anchorage because it's so. They don't want to go there. It's too much of a city now, Anchorage.
Oh, it's too urban.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a second gas station and it has one stoplight. Can you believe that? No, it's So I asked you to prepare, but you didn't. But next week
we'll talk about Hawaii and Alaska.
Fuck that! I'm going to prepare.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to take you off of this task of trying to prepare.
All right.
I'm just done with that. No, I'm going to talk about.
I vacuumed the couch.
I noticed. So no, I didn't notice at all. I'm going to talk about the difference between 1848 to about 1852 or so.
In the United States or the world?
No, Europe and the United States.
Oh,
talk about that.
All right.
Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating stuff.
I'll take notes. Will there be a test at the end?
No, I already know your failure in life, so
My failure rate. No, I do pretty good. If you're lecturing, I'll take some notes. I'll do pretty good on the test.
My stuff has been pretty good recently.
Yeah.
And also, when you said last week that the first stay-at-home order had been the previous week, I searched again.
Yeah.
It was the
March 2020. No.
It was March 2020, but it was like March 17th.
Oh.
Yeah, you were wrong.
Well, which was Wednesday.
Yet again.
Which was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
It's okay.
That was a wonderful couple of weeks when people were actually staying at home and no one was outside except me.
Mm-hmm.
It was great, and there wasn't another car on the road except mine.
Maybe
there was fresh air.
Maybe what we need to do
Yeah.
is sort of like spread the rumors of a new terrible virus somehow.
Yeah.
By again, this is what, like you were talking about how you were going to the gym for the first time.
Yeah. I was the only one there.
Since it failed to reopen. And I was thinking that what you do is go to the makeup store and like paint measles on your face and then just go and say, I don't have COVID, don't worry about it.
And then I definitely get the gym to myself.
And yeah, so what we should do is probably come up with another sort of more deadly disease.
Oh.
And then start spreading it.
Yeah.
The rumors of it.
Ebola.
So all that we need to do is then hire some actors, have them hang out in front of the CNN building.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just like, I don't know.
You mean it should be, maybe it should be more like The Walking Dead or kind of zombie
something
thing,
like that.
where they die very quickly and on the spot.
Or maybe like where, I don't know where they go get coffee at CNN, but like, it has to be near where these reporters say, what's that over there?
Did you ever see the reporter thing? Did you ever see the black and white on my TV, but I think it actually was in color. The Adventures of Superman, that 1950s television show.
Of course,
you did see it.
Yeah, of course.
Where the thing that was scaring the bad guys the most was reporters. Those damn reporters. If it wasn't for those reporters, we'd be able to pull this bank job. And I thought that was fascinating. Maybe that'll be true with CNN. We'd be able to get away with spreading this virus if it wasn't for those damn reporters.
Yeah, I don't know. Something I realized the other day or a couple weeks ago is that for Batman, his superhero costume was his disguise.
Yeah.
But for Superman, Clark Kent was his disguise.
That's right. The glasses.
The opposite.
Undetectable.
Right.
Undetectable. You've seen the 60s Batman series, of course.
Of course.
Now, what's really brilliant is, do you know that Aunt Harriet doesn't exist in the comic books? That was created for the television show. Do you know the reason for that? Was because they thought an older man and a younger man living together with a butler seemed a little gay. And so they thought, well, let's put an older woman, let's put Aunt Harriet in here, and then it seems respectable. But then they went and played Aunt Harriet so clueless that it looks even more gay. She never knows what's going on. Oh, well, you boys go off to do whatever it is you do. Did you notice that? Aunt Harriet was maybe, with the exception of Mrs. Kravitz, I think Aunt Harriet was one of the greatest creations in TV. Do you remember this? Do you remember Aunt Harriet? She would sit on the couch in Wayne Manor and never know what was going on. Oh, they're always rushing off somewhere. What they do in that room, who knows? Something about the bat pole.
You know who? There was a Get Smart episode like that where, he went to see his mother.
Oh yeah, and she thinks he
works for a greeting card
cards.
company. Yeah, exactly. And then just like your dad, but he didn't do that. He was a spy.
Yeah. Now Get Smart. Now there was an excellent series.
We've talked about it before. I was hanging out with my friend last night, who he's a foreigner, moved here in his 30s, and it's weird because there are certain parts of our culture that we collectively had as a child, but they did not, like Sesame Street.
Oh.
So I had to introduce him. Oh, there's this giant bird, this yellow bird, this talking bird on this thing. And he's been here for 5-6 years. I said, oh, and then there's this Bert and Ernie. who, and there's two guys that live together, and it's totally controversial about like what's going on here, and like it's just kind of fun because it's like these sort of basic things, and you have an otherwise competent person who's been functional in society and knows lots of things, but they don't know the stuff that you send to children because he was never a child here and he doesn't have a child, right?
I thought that was international. I thought Sesame Street was...
Oh, it is international.
Yeah, there's not a... Where is he from? What part of Russia? Communist Russia is...
He's from the Balkans.
Oh, he was from the Balkans.
But
they don't have TV, so...
Well, no, it's not about that. It's that...
they have new shoes. Every year we get new shoes.
Well, there's something funny about that, is that they end up getting shows that went off the air years and years and years ago. So there's this drama about Santa Barbara. I forget what it is. Like
there's a show called Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a soap opera. It was
soap opera in the 80s.
Yeah.
But
they're just getting it now.
Well, basically, and they were starting to get it like in the early 2000s, and it was an immensely popular show. And they went down a list like, here's some of the American television shows that we really love over there, and like half of them I had never heard of before.
I probably wrote for a bunch of them. I know where my work is being seen. They love me in Russia. They love me in the Balkans.
Yeah, and that's why you're getting checks and with these like weird currency symbols
right,
on it.
Baht. I get some in.
Yes, I'd like to Zimbabwean dollars,
That's
please.
Right. It's a zero. It's got like a squiggly line and the zero with the line through it, and two E's. I don't know what it is, but it's my foreign residuals.
Take it to downtown, and they give you like 14 cents out of it. No, and so it's these shows are international, but I don't know what their success is in the international market.
Well, so what's considered success when you only have, as in the Balkans, one television station? So what's considered success? I don't know.
Well, it's not that they only have one television station. It's that they have one
television.
Set.
Yeah.
For a neighborhood.
That's one more than you. You do not have a television machine.
Well, what is that joke? And it was like, I come from a small town, and there was this one night this man was following me as I was driving, and you know how I knew it? Because there's only 2 cars in the city. I can't do it right, but it's...
sounds like
Smirnoff.
Yakov Smirnoff.
In
Russia, car drives you.
It was me trying to do a Yakov Smirnoff style joke, where you sort of like take a comedian and then you try to do a joke in their style, right?
It's not that difficult with Yakov Smirnoff.
No, it isn't.
In Russia, water drinks you, letter mails you.
Or you could say or I could do one in Bob Hope style.
Yeah, how about those short skirts?
And I could say, so Monica Lewinsky, I heard it.
No, but the thing is, there's just now, of course, as far as I've heard, Bob Hope has been dead for years, but his jokes were so far dated by the time he told them that right about now he would be doing Monica Lewinsky jokes.
That was
about
did.
20. Yeah, I know. How about that joke? I'd like to not play golf with him.
Thanks for explaining the joke. Yeah, seriously. Like it was funny before you explained it.
Oh, well, I wasn't sure you were there. It's Monica Lewinsky would be about the right time.
Yeah. Come on.
No, I didn't see that's where you were going. How about those hippies?
He thinks I'm an idiot. You see that? Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I think the only person that would be really hard to do a joke in the style of is Rodney Dangerfield because he's so damn good.
Well, no respect.
Probably the easiest one would be the guy that was that hippie comedian. 7 words you can't say anything. What's that?
Oh, George Carlin.
George Carlin.
Why do they call them hands?
Yeah.
Why are you wearing a shoe? You mean that guy?
Yeah. Why do they call them toes and not feet fingers?
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Now you got it.
Well, that's actually what they call them Japanese. So that's.
Do they really call it feet fingers?
This is called the big toe is called thumb of foot.
Thumb of foot?
Yeah.
That's too wordy.
Well, I mean,
But it's one more word than big toe.
or foot thumb or whatever. Right?
Is it really? That's funny. Yeah. I had no idea.
Well, it
I don't speak the Japanese.
What?
I don't speak the Japanese.
Right.
I don't speak Chinese, so I don't know what they're talking about in Japan.
I don't know. I mean, could you even identify the difference between Japanese and Chinese script?
No.
No?
Maybe.
The Chinese one just looks a lot more boxy and confusing than the Japanese one does. It looks like the Japanese one looks a lot more efficient.
It's efficient. It's cheaper and efficient. More
Yeah.
efficient.
And
it's easy to fix if it breaks.
like they use the Chinese script and then they did the Toyota production system on it.
Yeah. And they can mass produce the alphabet. I think actually, well, now there's the modern Chinese, but I don't believe that the Japanese alphabet had as many characters as the Chinese, right? The Chinese
the Japanese has 3 alphabets.
Trillion, but the Chinese was just this unlimited trillion thing where they couldn't use a typewriter because there was so much.
No,
now there's simplified
it's
Chinese
because,
now.
It's because the Chinese has composition.
Yeah.
And it's because different phonemes are drawn, as opposed to being drawn next to each other.
Yeah.
They're drawn on top of each other.
Yes.
That's why they become so weirdly and complicated.
Right.
And so that's why when you see a character that you haven't seen before, you can see other characters within it that you have seen. That's how you read it. And it's stacked almost. The Japanese have 3 different alphabets. And not only, but there are appropriate times to use them. And so in a newspaper article, they might switch alphabets midway through you. If it's a different, I'm going to get this wrong, but I think that there's one that's more formal than another one. Yeah. And so if they refer to somebody distinguished or in a formal setting, they don't just freaking switch the alphabet on you like mid-sentence and keep on going to quote them, right, as a form of respect, and then go back to the other alphabet and it's just normal to them.
Oh, I had no idea.
It's crazy, yeah.
I had no idea. No wonder I'm having so much trouble understanding them.
Well, I mean, Japanese is known to be a notoriously hard language to understand or to get access to.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I know that, like, if I don't speak, I took some Spanish, but I don't speak Spanish, I don't speak Italian, I don't speak German. But if there was someone here that only spoke one of those languages, I think we'd be able to communicate in a certain way. We'd be able to find some way to communicate. But with Chinese and Japanese and certainly the Arabic languages, I don't even know where one word ends and the next word begins.
Well, the thing about the Romance languages is that there's pretty good structures and rules on them, and once you understand
same alphabet also.
Once you understand some of those rules, like when you see a new verb or something like that, you think, well, okay, I can sort of figure out what's going on here. The Japanese, they have counting words, which means that they have different ways of referring to a number depending on what they're referring to. Yeah. And so when you're saying like 5 round things or 5 flat things, that's a different 5.
Oh, I didn't know that. I had no idea.
And not only that, but when they're talking about regular counting words that are free of any description, there's alternative words for those, especially number 4, because number 4 sounds like the word death. And so then you have a different word for it entirely. And so even counting to 10 over there takes you 6 weeks.
That's right, especially if you're counting to around 10.
Yeah, and I think that like I will probably get this one wrong, but when you talk about 30, they don't have a separate word 30. They do 10, 10, 10.
Oh, so they're in the, that's too, no good. That's not working for me anymore. Now it's too confusing. I'm not going to Japan.
No, it's not.
I'm not going there.
And they're very sort of...
Talk me out of it.
Supposedly, the average Japanese person's ability to speak English is actually quite passable. It's just that they're so ashamed of what they perceive as their inefficiencies that they don't want to shame themselves in front of you. Yeah. And so if you say something like, you can say something in really bad Japanese as, "Oh, I'm so sorry, my Japanese is so terrible. Do you happen to know any?" But you say it so awfully that the person would then feel comfortable in saying, Oh, actually, my English, I have not practiced it too much, and it's like perfect English, right?
Yeah, right.
and they're like using like
I'm bringing dishonor to my family.
These are like SAT words on you, They quote like some scholarly literature, and you're like, oh yes, of course, this person does not know what they're doing.
That is always the penalty in Japan is shame.
Yeah.
They don't even have prisons. They just have shame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's also where the weirdest things come out of, right?
Japan?
Yeah. Like it's where 4chan and 8chan came out of.
Oh, again, this is all. Although the Chan.
And here's something. Here's something I was talking about, and we'll close on this one. Is that I was talking about something? How was it? Instagram is going to come up with a kid Instagram for people under 13, and then like, oh, that's not going to go wrong. And no way, that's not going to go wrong.
Possibly, yeah.
Well, it could possibly go wrong if you have this. And the thing that I was talking about is that there was this thing called Stickam. Long dead, only nerds remember it. Yeah. It was around from about 2005 to 2013. What it essentially was a site for children where you could be on camera and live for other children, right? And it was a cam site. But it was run by a Japanese guy who ran adult campsites. Okay, so this is sounding fishy, right? And so on the site, you could filter by like age and like gender. All right, you can look crazier, right? Not only, but they had a Stickam marketplace where you could like get I don't know, like badges and like little nonsense things using their own currency called coins. Yeah. But kids don't have credit cards to buy the coins.
So if someone was buying them, it wasn't kids.
It wasn't kids. It was adults. And then in the actual interface, this went on for 8 years, by the way, before they shut down. Okay? In the actual interface, how you gave the coins to these kids, it said reward.
Oh.
That was the term that they used. And so you reward the kids with coins to do what? I don't know.
Yeah. To be good little boys and girls.
And so they ended up shutting down in January 2013, basically like out of nowhere. Yeah. But it was also a couple months after Kim.com was raided by like, in New Zealand by the Americans that said, and all of the servers were taken. And then they're like, you know what? You knew what was going on here. Yeah. And at the time, basically like, if a pervert or a pedophile had been arrested in the U.S., like the word Stickam was always in there, and so these people are saying like, okay, the gig is up, like we made our money, let's go, and so like overnight they just shut everything down. And the thing is that like it was basically like a cam site with like a Tiger Beat theme on it, or like a 17 theme on it, like that, like. And they said, we have, I don't know, pop bands on here and stuff like that. They're trying to MySpace it up, right? Yeah. That's fine. But the core function of the site, and then when you went in, they would ask you, they would say, as a reminder, no nudity allowed.
Well, that's good enough. That's policing.
Right. And like when you tell a 13-year-old to not do something, they don't do it, right?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That's how
works.
Teenagers work, right? Is that they follow the exact instructions that you give them. Yeah. It's just, I have no words how that stuck around for 8 years.
Wow, and nobody.
No, that's the craziest thing. Is that there's a bunch of articles that said keep your kids off of this thing. This is super dangerous. Like, look what's happening over here. This is bad.
And it took Australia to shut it down.
No. Nobody shut it down. They voluntarily shut it down.
Oh, was it?
And walked away from it.
When they knew we might get caught. Now that we've made our billion, wow.
But like,
we should start running those right now.
The first week, it wasn't shut. Like freaking 8 years. Like, I don't know.
Maybe it's time for another one of those.
Yeah, I think so. I think we need to do it again,
That's next week's show.
Sure, yeah, we'll get started.
The new kids site.
Oh, no. There's better ways to make a buck. Oh, gosh. Okay, that's our time.
All right.
All right.